Yeah, she'll be here. Yeah. I guess she's stuck in traffic somewhere.
If you wouldn't mind sharing your letter with me.
Yeah, that's fine.
Rich, Route 8 is backed up like miles and miles and miles heading north.
Okay.
I can start to get out at the Shell station, and I have to go back up the hill and back down just to get here.
Okay.
She's in that traffic, she's gonna be stuck for a while.
Yeah, I know. She texted a little bit ago, and she said her GPS has her here in like about 15 minutes. So, all right. Monica, are you ready? You're all set? Steve? You all set? Anne Marie? You all set? Okay. All right, 7:07. Everybody please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Thank you all for coming. Okay, Betty Ann is going to be about 15 minutes late or so. So when she arrives, just please note her arrival time, please. All right. Item number 4, our first public comment. First public comment. We're going to open it up. We're going to have 2 public comments, one at the beginning and one at the end. So first public comment. Just state your name and address for the record.
I know the
Try to
drill.
keep it around 2 minutes.
Got it. All right, Jennifer Magri, 16 Union Street, Seymour. This is probably going to come as somewhat of a surprise. I'm going to be not demanding anything from you. I want to acknowledge and thank you for the time and effort you as a board have put in over the course of the past several months, listening to the presentations and approving the budgets that were set forth to vote. As we all know, both budgets failed at referendum, and as a board, you have a very difficult task ahead tonight. Weighing the needs of the town and the school district against the will and resources of the taxpayers is not something that is easy to do or can be taken lightly. My ask, if possible, is that the board spend some additional time educating citizens about the budget and referendum process. There specifically is a need to explain the impact of reevaluation and the loss of motor vehicle tax revenue this year on the revised mill rate, as there appears to be a great deal of confusion on social media about these factors. Not all information being shared is accurate. There are very passionate constituents who are having spirited debate over the budget and the desire to have little to no tax increase. There are citizens that are struggling to make ends meet, and any increase will be deemed to be too much. No one wants to pay more taxes for equal or less services. I know that meeting the desire of those citizens is likely not possible without impacting services significantly, or may even be impossible given the increase in assessments in some cases of over 40%. I also know that 2 things can be true. Many people cannot afford an increase, and the town and Board of Ed need increases to continue to provide level services. It is not an equation that is solved easily. I trust that you will act in good faith and exercise reasoned judgment as you deliberate the additional cuts that you must make this evening. Thank you again for all of your efforts to do what is right and reasonable for the majority of citizens. Thank you.
Thank you. Public comment. First public comment. Going once. Name, address for the record. About 2 minutes.
Bob Koskolowski, Pearl Street, Seymour. First off, I know you can't do anything about it now, but we should never implemented revaluation. Section 12.62 state statute is very clear. It's every 5 years. We did reval in 2021, and we don't have an assessor. And without an assessor, you can't sign a grand list. And whoever put the grand list together, the assessor from another town signed our grand list. I want to see, or I would ask your board to find out where the money came from to hire the assessor that signed that grand list, and if he completed the 12 months filing the grand list. I know there's no debate, no answer to the question, so I'm just going to keep going on. Another thing, the audit hasn't been completed yet. It's not because of the Board of Ed. They did their job. We're not doing our job. And it starts in the finance office. That's who gives the numbers to the auditors so they could complete it. So something has to be done to get the audit because we don't know if we have a surplus or a deficit from last year. I believe we have about a $600,000 surplus that should be used to offset the taxes. Now the reductions. I'd like to make a recommendation. We reduce in the first selectman's office, line item 100, 410, 1310, 130. First selectman assistant, paying $138,632. That's an increase of $54,802 over 2 years. I wish I got that kind of raise. Finance office, line item 100, 410, 1512, 450, 101. We should eliminate one of the 2 finance directors, because we have 2. We have one coming to the Board of Selectmen, giving information about bonding and things when we have a bonding council. I don't know why we have that person coming, and that person shouldn't have anything to do with our finances, because we have a finance director, and the town charter is very clear. We have 1 finance director, not 2. The other, town council, I believe we should eliminate $10,000 from that line item of 100, 410, 1530, 470, 310, $10,000. And the reason being is that we have town council come to every Board of Selectmen's meeting, every police commissioner's meeting. We don't need that. Know what their answers are 90% of the time. 9 out of 10 times. I'm on the Board of Police Commissioners, and I have it. I could ask the town council a question at that meeting, know what he says, I'll get back to you. So I could give him a note the next day asking him for that. I don't know what this is. Oh, okay, it just rolled over. I should, no. So anyways, I believe we should reduce it because we don't need town council. Questions could come from the board members to town council, and you'll get an answer the next day. Police department. Chief makes $134,000, approximately. You have, in this budget that I have, you have it listed from July 1st to February, $877,448 we paid the chief of police. Who put this budget together? I know the chief don't make $877,000 in 6 months. But these numbers, and it's hard to follow this budget because you didn't put how many employees. We always listed how many employees in every position. I'm totally confused. I don't know how many. I have to come in and look and count. The other one, Public Works Department. I want that be reduced by 100,000. Line item 100, 433, 3110, 570. The reason for that is that we spend tens of thousands of dollars a year having our public works workers work on state property. They shouldn't be. It started with the previous administration and continued in this administration. We pay state income tax, we pay a gas tax, we pay a sales tax. All that is supposed to go for infrastructure by the state. A simple phone call, and I did it. I contacted our legislator. I had somebody that lived on Great Hill Road. The curbing was destroyed. I called her, and within 1 week, it was put up. So the state does do it if you call. So I feel that two employees should not be employed down Public Works. We have a town right next to us that has over 100 miles of road. We have a little over 80 miles of road, and they have 2/3 of what we have. Debt service. Bond, 2017A. Interest, we're not paying any principal? Why aren't we paying principal? I mean, you're not showing the right numbers in this budget. And the reason why I'm going through the town budget, because I think the Board of Ed was hit fairly hard at our last meeting of $750,000 reduction. I don't support any more deduction, but that's up to you. But I do want to say that I do see on the budget that the recommendation from the First Selectman's budget to the Board of Finance budget was a lot less. The Board of First Selectman's budget showed that wanted to reduce the Board of Ed even by more. But I don't support that, and I don't think we should. That $750,000 is going to be a big blow for our Board of Ed. And we have to keep it, no more cuts in the Board of Ed. That's my opinion. You do what you want to do. I'm suggesting these items for your board to decide. You guys are the board that makes that decision for the townspeople, and the townspeople taxpayers just can't afford what we're doing now. Revaluation should have never taken place. Thank you very much.
Public comment?
Kristen Harmeling, 134 Davis Road. Some people have mentioned all the vitriol that is happening on Facebook, and I try my very best not to look at Facebook and think that the voice of the community is channeling through one single social media channel. But the reality is, when we have 1,100 people come out and vote, and we have 400 or 500 people seeing these kind of posts on Facebook, we have to take them seriously. And there has been this narrative that has been pushed for this entire season about the schools versus the seniors. And I have been doing this work for 17 years. And I really thought, with gratitude, that that had ended about 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. And here we are right back where we used to be. And nothing is further from the truth. No one on the Board of Ed's side who have put together this budget thinks, gosh, let's stick it to the seniors. It's just not the reality. As a Board of Education, we're charged to advocate for what we believe our schools and our students need. So yes, we do ask for a certain number, but that number is based on need. People say things like tighten your belts, as if we're the mafia who's pocketing extra money. There is no benefit to me for pushing a budget that I don't think is needed by the school district. There's none. It hurts me just as much as it hurts everyone else when it comes to paying my taxes. We have some fundamental problems that have happened this year that Mr. Koskolowski just pointed out. And it's too little too late right now. We're trying to explain car assessments. We're trying to explain revaluation. Like, the ship has sailed on that, unfortunately. But we can't hold one division of town, the Board of Education, responsible for it. And so I'm begging you not to do that. I also want to point out that the vote turnout wasn't that bad, all things considered, what we usually see across years. We did not get beat by a landslide. When I say we, I mean the Board of Ed. This was a vote from an angry group of people, and I get it 100%, no matter what your reason for voting no was, no matter what your reason for voting yes was. These budgets failed by generally the same margin. So people are saying, we won. The Board of Ed got cut, and we won. Well, did that mean they lost because the town didn't get cut at the annual town meeting? So all I'm trying to say is that when I was in your shoes, and in so many years that we've come up here to advocate for the budget that we believe the schools need, is this was an equal loss for all of us. We're all in this together. But there are some fundamental things that are broken with how this revaluation came to pass. And the reality of it is, we have been cut enough. We have no idea how we're going to run the schools next year. We haven't had the time to look at these things. People are complaining, oh, we don't even know what your budget means. Yes, you do. You know what our budget means. There's line items there, and somehow we have to find about $900,000 that will be spread across those budgets in the ways that do the least harm to our schools and our students. And quite frankly, if we continue down this road as a town of bashing our schools, who the heck is going to want to move here? Who's going to want to move here? And all of our revaluation that now we're lamenting has to cause us and paying more taxes. What happens when you want to go and sell your house? There will be nobody to move here because Seymour will be known as the town that pits seniors against schools. And I really hope we can all put a halt to that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Monica, could you please note Betty Ann's arrival time? Thank you. Okay, public comment.
Thank you. I'm Dr. Susan Compton, Superintendent of Seymour Public Schools. I live on 122 Walnut Street, Seymour, Connecticut. I'm here tonight to passionately and humbly and beg you not to cut our Board of Education budget anymore. After $750,000 cut, we are down to 4%. As Mrs. Harmley just mentioned, our most important asset, I want you to know, and I always say this, in the town of Seymour are our kids. Our kids are our future. Future leadership, the future of everything depends upon the education of the system of Seymour Public Schools. I want to commend you for all the work that you do, but I also want to talk about the legacy of Seymour Public Schools. I'm in my 4th year here. When you look and reflect the success stories of Seymour Public Schools, and a lot of you sitting up here at the table are graduates of Seymour Public Schools, we do not want to destroy the legacy and the future of what we're doing for the children. I can tell you, you've had outstanding students that have went on and graduated from this school system. They've made an impact not only in the state of Connecticut, but many on a world level, internationally as well. When you also reflect, you've had great teachers, you've had great administrators, and a few great superintendents. But that's neither here nor there. What's most important right now is the community, because a community is only as good as your educational system. People go and buy houses based upon what the school system is doing. We've worked very hard, very diligently, and the people before me have done the same. I've devoted my heart, my soul to this place for the past 4 years, and so has our other people, our Board of Ed, and everybody else caring about our children. Our top valedictorian this year has scholarships to go to Harvard, Yale, and MIT. And guess what? He's going to graduate from Seymour Public Schools. Last year, our valedictorian was accepted to Yale, the year before Yale University. I mean, this speaks well for what we're producing. I beg you tonight, you've always listened to me. You've always respected me. I've always respected you, and you know my dedication. I'm begging you, do what's best for our kids, our assets. Send it back out to the voters. Leave it alone. We're at 4%. You can't even meet contractual agreements with what we're dealing with. I just beg you, please listen to me. Thank you for your time and all the work that you put in serving on this Board of Finance. Thank you.
Public comment. Name and address for the record.
Kristen Bruno, 10 McConney Court. You guys are in a tough position. As town board members, we are in a tough position. We owe something to the seniors of this town. We definitely do. They set the values. They set the example for public service. I serve on the Board of Education because of my grandfather, who lived in his town. He served on the Chamber of Commerce. Both of my grandfathers and grandmothers set public service as an example. I don't appreciate the things that the Board of Education is being called in social media. We are not here for ourselves. We are here because we believe in this community and creating a strong community. It is not seniors against students. We are one community. And we have to make some decisions about how we want to move forward. Do we want to be a community that grows and invests in itself in a planful way, that makes room for new families and provides a quality school system? Or do we want to be a community that says no to any kind of development, begins to whittle away at our town services and at our school district through cuts and cuts? You have a tough decision, and I would just implore you to be transparent, to share your ideas. I know you're good listeners, but you also have to speak. You've been elected. So we have to really think about, what is the future of this town, and is it a future for everybody? And is it a future of growth with increasing home values, which benefit everyone, and increasing opportunities in a modest, planful way that's sustainable in our town and in our school system? Thank you.
Public comment. First public comment going once. First public comment going twice. First public comment going 3 times. Okay, first public comment is closed. So with that, and we will have a final public comment at the end as well. So with that, let's move on to item number 5. So the way we're going to do this is we will address the town side of the budget first, and then from there, we will address the Board of Education side of the budget. Okay, so with that, I would like to invite our first select woman to the podium. Oh, we have correspondence as well. If you want to read that first, and then we'll get into the budget. It's up to you.
Okay.
Okay.
So maybe the correspondence first.
Okay, we'll do the correspondence first, because I guess this is an extension of public comment that came in.
All right. Hello, my name is Brian Ploss, 5 Peach Drive, continuing to help my mom after my father passed late last year. I'm not feeling well and asked for this to be read into the record. Thursday, it wasn't that bad of a budget, but most likely tanked by the Criminal Board of Education budget.
Inappropriate comments to be read. It's going beyond public speech into hate speech. He called our budget criminal. There's no evidence to that. It's just a false information and it's hateful. And I know that it goes on and continues in that vein.
Okay, well, I mean, we have correspondence. I mean, it,
Can we just submit it into the record then? But if he was here, he would have to speak, and would we call a point of order then?
I would certainly call point of order if he was
you,
speaking in public.
you would call a point of order if he was here speaking?
Absolutely.
Okay. How does everybody feel about that? Just putting it into the record without speaking it into the record? Lucy, how do you feel about that? Jim? Bev?
That's what we gotta do.
Betty Ann?
If it's allowed, it's fine, but his correspondence should be read.
Kristen?
Yeah, agreed.
Oh, we're actually in a meeting, so, but, well, I'll get your opinion anyways, yes, no? Okay. All right, then please respectfully submit that to our recording secretary to be entered into the record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so, you have some exciting changes to share with us, ideas about what you want to do here, so
Oh, yeah.
the floor is yours.
So I just want to go over some brief history regarding the voter turnout, as Ms. Harmling said. There are 11,728 registered voters in town. The first referendum failed with 1,212 voters casting ballots, and that includes the 44 absentee votes. This is about average voter turnout for budgets. I came and I did a brief history of voting for the past couple of years. In 2018, there were 719 votes. 2019, 764 votes. 2020, the COVID Board of Selectmen accepted the budget. In 2021, there was 527 votes. 2022, 1,050. In 2023, this is the third referendum, 1,364. In the first one, 1,355 in the second referendum, 1,318 in the third referendum. 2024, 932 was in the first referendum, 1,482 in the second referendum, and 1,212. So once again, 11,728 voters. That number does not include the businesses that are allowed to vote, because business owners are allowed to vote in a budget referendum. I have heard and seen the Facebook post regarding the taxes as well as the speeches that are going on. No one wants their properties to go up on their taxes. We get it. The reeval was supposed to happen in 2025.
When the state told us in 2024 that we had to redo it, we asked, we submitted a letter, our state rep went and she asked, and they said, no, you have to do it in 2024. Every town has gotten it in 2024. And they no longer allow the state statute where you can do a quarter here, a quarter here, and a quarter here. It all has to get done within that 5-year time. So we ended up getting ours done in a year earlier. Let's go back to 2021 when we had our first reval. You know, that was a year Dr. Compton came on board. We got a new business manager. All was good. But then we found an error that had happened. And our mill rate that was supposed to come down lower didn't happen because we all came together to work together to fix what happened, right? So our mill rate didn't go down as far as it should have in 2021. Here we are in 2024. We're thinking the reevaluations are going to come in. Our mill rate is going to come down. Again, as Kristen Harmeling stated, we've all heard about the car taxes. They're phasing out the car tax. The philosophical shift that is happening at the state of Connecticut, where we're doing away with the car taxes after everybody has asked for the past 5 years, and we're now putting it onto the property. So the assessments came in 40 to 60. If you're selling your house, that's great. If you're not selling your house and you're on a budget, it's not so great because a lot of the homes came in a lot higher than we all thought they would come in. So the state of Connecticut passed the act concerning property tax for the exemption of motor vehicles, phasing it out over the next 4 or 5 years. As I said, the philosophical change. The state also has a statute that says if your property mill rate goes down, your motor vehicle mill rate must go down. If your property rate goes below 32.64, then your car mill rate has to go down below to where your property mill rate is. So our car rate was at 32.64 and now has to come down to wherever we're putting our property mill rate. So we're losing money on that. We would, in order for no taxes and no one's taxes to go up whatsoever, we would need to stay at the $44,534,230 not to raise anyone's taxes. And that's coming up with $1.6 million in revenue. Well, can we get this? I mentioned about the Baker's property off of Skokerad earlier. We had a developer looking to come in and develop that property. It's about 100 acres. The property was looked at, and Chatfield School was built with homes going out to that property. About 80 acres, 1 acre homes were going up there. That would have brought in about $1.2 million in revenue because the homes would have went for $600,000 to $700,000. So that's gone. Tri-Town Plaza would have to build a $40 million building. About that to bring in that revenue. And the only other place to go to bring in that much revenue would be Stop and Shop. So we're looking at ways. We have a couple of things that we're talking to about people coming in. But what my staff and I have been working on since Good Friday. Right, you ready? Here are the cuts that we've come up to so far. We'll go.
It's the line by line, if you could.
Oh, I will. First one's going to be on economic development and professional services. As you know, we no longer have an economic director. Right? So that is going to be line item number 410-133-300. Other professional services. Got it? We're taking that from 20 down to 15. And what that's going to do, that will pay for any consultants that we may have to come on in case it's something that we cannot handle here in Town Hall. The next one is 440, register of voters. 443.11, early voting supplies. We're going to take that from 12,000 to 10,000. Next one's going to be in the IT budget, which is 505. Information technology, 505. 743, hardware. We're going to go from 151,962 to 140,962. It's $11,000 cut. Next one is 630, recreation. Line 885, Seymour Events Committee. Yes. Recreation, 630. Right under town contributions. Before emergency service. Seymour Events Committee is on the top of the page on the next page. Top of the page. Okay, got it? 885 Seymour Events Committee, we're gonna take that from 35 to 30, knocking it down 5K.
Jason, just real quick, are you entering these into a separate column?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
On to 570, Department of Public Works. Now, I heard what Bob Kay said about taking the 2 employees out. Unfortunately, those are in the union contracts, how many laborers and how many drivers they can have. So we can't just fire 2 people. They're in the union. Highway materials, 575, line 600. We're gonna take from 55,000 to 50,000. Okay. 580, street lighting. We're gonna go 150 to 135, that's 15,000. Ready? Benefits and town insurance. Got it. Now, these are just assumption savings because we are in the middle of negotiations, okay? We're gonna go from, sick pay overall, from 151,257 to 135,000, that's a savings of 16,257. Again, it's an assumption of savings because we're in contract negotiations.
Through the chair? While that is a total decrease that First Select Women is presenting, I'll allocate that proportionally amongst other line items.
Okay. Thank you.
Again, we're still in employee benefits, going into retirement and total. It's at 832,721. We're gonna drop it down to 799,954 for a savings of 32,767. Again, this is an assessment on what we know from contract negotiations. Okay, so again,
What
it's
was that
assumption.
complete number?
799,954. Savings is $32,767.
Jason, that too, same thing? You'll apply it throughout? Cool, thank you.
Capital and contingency, let me know when you're all ready. Thank you. We're gonna take it from 80,000 to 40,000. That is capital line 861. Yep, you're welcome. On to 863, Capital Town Building Improvement Fund. We're gonna take that from 50,000 to 25K. OPED Trust, which is 866, because we're never, ever, ever, ever gonna have enough in there. We're gonna go from 5,000 to 1,000. Ready? On to the next on the top, Capital Annual F-550 truck for Public Works. We're gonna take 75,000 and bring it down to 40,000. That's line number 867. Then we're gonna go right down to 868, which is Capital Fleet Replenishment. We're gonna go from 15,000 to 0.
F-550 was what?
75,000 going down to 40,000.
40,000, thank you.
You're welcome. It's for a new truck. Fleet replenishment, 0. 0. Has nothing to do with plow, it has to do with buying a vehicle. Reevaluation, 20,000 to 0. We got 5 years. Unless the state changes their mind again. Okay, down to town contingencies. Line 875, contingency from 25,000 to 20. Line 875. Ready? Line 871, contingency roads. We're gonna go from 50 to 25,000. $870, line same area, town contingency, line 870, contingency fuel. We're gonna take it from 15,000 to 5,000. So with those cuts, we just cut $271,024. Revised town expend. $271,24. With that, the revised town expenditures is $26,853,952. That's less than a 1% increase over the prior year. It comes out to a 0.98% increase. What number would you like? The total town expenditures? 26,853,952. And I would like to address the surplus. It's not a 600,000 surplus. In talking to the auditors, it's about a 300K surplus. Actually, that is from unbudgeted and higher than unanticipated revenue. That is from the way we're saving money in our savings account, as well as what the building and land use are doing with the fees from people in building, as well as the fire marshal and his inspections. So that's where that revenue is coming from. So we're not overtaxing the residents on that one. I think that's about, oh, let me make sure. That's all I had.
Okay, so Jason, you got everything entered in there, correct? Well, does anybody have any questions for our first select woman? We'll start at the end of the table. Lucy?
I think you did a very good job on really coming up with some innovative things, and I really appreciate it, because you came in with a pretty good record, and you did a nice job on, doing some more cuts. I know it's gonna hurt in the long run.
It's, you know what, growth hurts. It does. The town is growing, our schools are growing, the town is growing, and the growth spurts are gonna hurt. But to drive economic development, we need growth. And, Tri-Town Plaza, everybody says Tri-Town Plaza, unless Mr. Spector is gonna put in a $20 million building, right? That's not gonna help us. We need growth in this town. And like I said, we lost almost $1.2 million when that property was given to the land trust. And now there's no taxes being paid on that. It's great to have all these parks, and it's great to have all these open trails, because that's what we want. But those don't generate revenue. That just costs the town money, because we have to maintain them.
Yeah, well, people don't understand, the schools are growing, but the community's growing too, and they have needs also that we have to address.
Just like the town,
Make sure your microphone is on.
the school
I just,
is
that
facing.
as well as the school's growing, the community is growing also with additional needs that we have to look at also, besides the things that we are already providing for. There's additions there. So, I mean, it's a balance of both that we're looking at, just not one segment. And this is what we have to really take a look at, because, you just can't go after just one particular area and ignore another.
And the state's not helping with their unfunded mandates, or them cutting, funding for us as well. The school gets about $11 million in grant money from the state. And if that's cut, guess where that has to come? That has to come out of the town's pocket, because we still have a job to do, and that's to educate our children. And unfortunately, yes, we do have a growing section of young at hearts, right? We do. And it hurts them, because sometimes they only get their Social Security or some pensions. And it hurts them as well, and we understand that. And, we would love to do more, and we'll look at doing more. But we can't take from one to give to the other. We all have to come together to an
Well,
open
thank you for
agreement.
doing what you did.
Thank you.
Jim? I don't have any questions. Bev?
No question.
Betty Ann? There you go.
First of all, I want to say thank you. I agree with Lucy. This is drastic. And I hope it doesn't bite us in the bottom with some of these, which it well could. But thank you.
Kristen?
No questions.
Carol?
No questions.
Oh, to address the assessor's comment, yes, we did have a certified Class 1, Class 2 assessor certify the grand list. He did go over the grand list. It is a 12-month certified. And it came out of the assessor. As you know, we have that budgeted for what the assessor currently was being paid. So the money came out of that line item, because that's still in the budget, because you can't take it out of the budget because it's a union position.
Right. Okay, I don't have anything further. Just thank you for working very hard over the holiday weekend to come up with some of these changes. All right. So Jason, what do we have now? As an absolute total, like, what are we looking at with the mill rate? And this is just keeping right now the Board of Ed at 4%. And we're going to transition into that in a few moments.
Before I get into that, I'd just like to make a point here regarding the a comment that the gentleman had made earlier regarding the police chief salary line item. That's line item 100, 420, 2100, 535101. It is not 877,448. There was a typo. There's an extra 7 there, so it's 87,448, and I will make that update in the next version.
Which line item?
That was the police chief line item,
Okay, so it's 535,101.
535,101.
Okay, and it's listed in here as 140.
It's the first line item under the police department budget.
Oh, your year-to-date, yes.
It's the
Gotcha,
year-to-date
yeah.
number. It doesn't
Okay.
have any impact on the
We're
budget.
good.
It's just for comparison analysis purposes.
Great, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah, no, I understand it wasn't, it was probably obvious, but I just wanted to clarify.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so, back to where we were
Yes.
on that.
So with taking into all the recommendations that the first select woman had made, that brings total, and leaving the Board of Ed as is, total expenditures would be $68,219,091. So 68,219,091. This brings us to a proposed mill rate of 27.73. Certainly. The town expenditures would be $26,853,952. Total expenditures, again, keeping the Board of Ed the same, total expenditures $68,219,091. Proposed mill rate 27.73.
Go ahead and ask him.
Jason, 276,863,952 is the town by itself.
I'm sorry, what was your number?
Can you repeat the town total?
26,853,952.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So, let's kick this around a little bit up here, and we'll start with Lucy. How do you, you want a little more time? Okay, do you have any other suggestions for reductions?
Reduction.
Right,
I can't see anything right now.
on the town side.
On the town side, no, I don't. I think she made as many recommendations as she could at this point.
Okay.
And I would certainly go along with what you talked to, said she has.
Okay. Jim?
I agree with the cuts you made.
You agree with the cuts that were made? Okay. Bev,
The only question
here,
I-
turn on your microphone.
The only question I had was on our electricity. Have we looked at our electricity bills to see if, if that percentage is correct?
Through the chair, at this point, we don't think any further reduction is warranted.
On the electricity?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Betty Ann?
No question.
Okay. Kristen?
I'm all set.
Carol?
All set, thank you.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Okay. So now, we're going to move on to the Board of Education side of things. And I would like to invite to the podium whoever is going to speak on behalf of the Board of Ed. Would that be Chairman Champagne? Okay. So, you had a $750,000 cut at the town meeting, and then our budget which brought it to 4%, and then the budget failed. Okay, so do you have any suggestions?
Well, we still haven't worked through the 750 yet. We're still about, because that has failed Thursday. Superintendent was away for the weekend. It's hard for us to get everybody together on a Friday or over the weekend. What we do know is all of the staff that we asked for, that we needed, the ELL teacher, that state mandate, we're gonna have to figure something out there. The pre-K teacher that we asked for, we're more or less going to halt any expansion on pre-K. The social worker that was gonna be split between the two elementary schools, that's off the table as well. The health insurance, I think the 12% is, that we budget is gonna be pretty close. We have a lot of retirees that are Medicare eligible. They didn't pay into it, so they can't receive it. And we have a handful that are retired, but are not of age yet, so we have to pay for those. So I think with the 11.8, Sal was the new number, 10 grand. Like there's 10 grand
For the health, for the health insurance?
for the health insurance. You know, so it's not 12%, it's 11.8. So that's about $10,000. You know, until we meet as a full board, it's hard to make a decision on where we are, because everybody more or less has an opinion. But everybody should have this. I don't know if it's from last time, it's the one pager that has everything on it. You know, things that we have to toss around. School security officer in the high school, the new one we hired, that might have to go. One of the other items that's in the 750 is educational supplies, so we have to cut that. We might be looking at things like supply lists for our students. So pretty much any staff that would be, if we have to dip into staff versus programs, each staff member, their salary, if we take an average towards the bottom of the seniority list, probably looking at about 85,000 per staff member, which more or less would include just, you know, their salary and probably some of the taxes, the insurance that they could take or not take. You know, you really can't make any assumptions on that. That could range anywhere from 20 to 40,000, whether that person, based on seniority, has the insurance or not, and what type of plan they're on. Just today, we found out that there was a staff member who was on their spouse's plan, but now they have to come back to our plan, so that's $40,000 hit for this year. So these are the kind of things that we have to work with. You know, I mean, it's pretty much where we are. You know, we need to meet probably sometime this week, toss around some ideas. But we're having a hard time with this 750. I don't know really what more we can do. We're going to cut into programs.
We're actually going to have to cut teachers. Our class sizes are going to have to be almost to the maximum, and it may have to be paid place fours. I mean, we are in a horrible situation in regards to staff, in all true honesty.
You know, and my time as chair, and I've told you this, Chairman Denver, we bring you an honest budget. There's no frills in it. I can't really speak to the past, but this is it. Anything that we ask for, those are the first things that go. If it goes below that, then we're either programs or staff.
So basically, all of the new initiatives that you had in your budget was eliminated with that $750,000 reduction.
Question.
Yeah, there's more.
That's only part of it. Okay.
I got,
Hang on for 1 second. I'll call you up in 1 second, because one of my board members has a question over here to Chris.
we're here tonight to make a recommendation. The town turned down your budget with the $750,000. So me hearing, as well as the other members, that there's nothing that you can cut. That's unacceptable. The town turned it down. So my understanding is that we were gonna get numbers on what was coming off from what was put at referendum to the town that has to decrease.
There was no instruction to give any
The
numbers.
town turned down the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, we
On
haven't gotten there
on
yet.
Thursday.
I'm still trying to figure out
That's where I'm confused.
what the impact of the $750,000 cut is. That's that's what phase we're in right now.
Okay.
Okay, because we don't know. Okay, we owned a 5.9. Okay, we knew where they were at with a 5.9. Okay,
Right,
so
that's
going into
true.
this right now, we don't really know
Okay.
how that 750,000 impacted them.
It's really 1.1 because we came in with a 6.9, we went to a 5.9, and then the 750. I don't think anybody in this room understands what $750,000 is to a budget where we have 7% in per pupil spending, the bottom 7%. I don't know how much lower you guys want us to go.
you have to have so many teachers per classroom.
Here, come up to the microphone, please. And Mr. Bucci, come on up too.
Come on.
Here, go to the microphone so we can hear you.
I'm just confused.
Just a quick point of clarification. The budget that was presented by the Board of Education was a 6.9% budget. It was then reduced to 5.9% before it went to the voters. It then got cut 750,000. The total amount of the cut we are trying to figure out how to work with is $1.15 million. It's $1,150,000. It's not 750,000. We have not been able to reconcile this 6.9% budget so far down to a 4% budget, which is a 3% cut, which is almost $1.2 million. So the focus on $750,000 belies the fact that we didn't even address the 1% that was cut by the body before it went to the voters, because it was pending going to the voters to figure out where things were going to come out. And what I've certainly recommended to the chair and to my superintendent is we are very far apart in terms of determining, even after you wipe out all the new initiatives and the mandates, how it is that you're even going to be able to fit into a budget without doing what Dr. Compton just suggested, which is to cut staff.
And you've got to realize with all of this is down to 4%. Salvatore, would you give the exact percentage of what it takes to meet just the contractual agreements?
It was roughly
Must have-
5%.
I mean, in all due honesty, I mean, we're trying to lay it out for you because of the total cost here of what we're dealing with. And another thing is too, last week was spring break, and I think people ought to have another chance to come out, and hopefully more people will come out and vote and support this budget, support this educational budget and the town budget. It's different when you're cutting people and contractual agreements. I mean, we have requirements to meet minimum requirements, plus union contracts as well.
Okay.
That's where
So-
we stand. And to say we have to cut more, that's just unfair.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, we have to address another type of cut here.
Well, what
Because
you were
the
suggesting-
referendum. Well, that's why you guys are here. I want you to be part of this process, okay, and suggest to us what you think a fair cut should be moving forward. Because, again, because of the voters at the referendum, they voted the budget down. So we have to take some type of action up here, okay? And I don't want to just arbitrarily go into it and say, let's cut X amount. I want you guys to participate a little bit to kind of tell us what more you could handle cutting off of your budget.
At this point, nothing. As he said, I am telling you, and I'm saying this sincerely. You came here, you supported the kid down with the insurance at 6.9, all that to 5.9. We're down to 4%. We are down to 4%.
Okay. Chair recognizes Board of Education member Kristen Harmelink. Please come to the mic.
Thank you very much, Rich. I really appreciate that. You guys know I've been doing this for a long time, and I want to make sure that everyone on the Board of Finance knows that never in the history of the 14 years I have either sat where you sat or on the Board of Ed has a referendum failed and the Board of Education come back 4 days later and told you how our budget was going to be met. That is an impossible thing to do, regardless of whether it was spring break, regardless of whether it was Holy Thursday and Easter Sunday. There is no possible way for a board of 9 people to get together on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday afternoon and come in and say, this is how we'll meet our budget. So I want to be very clear about that. If that was an expectation that was set for any of you, that was a false expectation. It has never been done. The reason is because there are 9 of us. The reason is because, as we have said, we are talking about unions. We need to open up and talk to our unions. That does not happen in a 4-day period. It doesn't happen in a 2-week period. We didn't even have time to do that between the annual town meeting and the vote. And never in 14 years that I've been serving on one of these boards have we been cut like that at an annual town meeting. So forgive me if I sound upset, passionate, angry, whatever word you want, but it is absolutely unfair to think that we would come here tonight and say, this is what you should cut for our budget. It's not realistic. We have too many contingencies. 78% of our budget is personnel. 78% is people. We don't make arbitrary cuts to people. We make thoughtful decisions in collaboration with the people who will be impacted.
Okay.
Just don't gut
Well-
this system, please, I beg you.
Again, we're trying to give you guys, the openness of the floor to kind of participate in this because, again, that's since I've chaired this board, I've wanted everybody to have an equal voice for 2 years, right? I've wanted everybody to have an equal voice in this, okay? So, okay, I get that you have not met yet as a 9-member board to make any decisions, okay? But I think it would be very helpful to us up here if you just throw out some number for us to discuss.
$1.
$1.
You guys have
Okay.
already thrown out numbers to us. The public has thrown out numbers to us that we don't even have the capacity to solve for. So to act like we're going to throw out a number to you guys,
I mean,
you know what our numbers were.
right on the first 5 lines, 4.3 is just to pay our salary and benefits. That's our increase, 4.3%.
I don't have that as reference. My apologies on that.
So, we're at people, or we're at programs to get any more cuts.
Okay. So, again, it's our duty as a board to follow the will of the voters who rejected the budget. Okay, so we have to make some type of cut today to the Board of Education overall line. Okay, so let's have a little discussion up here as to what everybody up here feels as though is appropriate. And we'll start with Lucy. Do you have any suggestions? I mean, do you want to do this
Okay,
with
wait a minute.
you go ahead.
Just interject my feelings right now.
Of course, here, turn your microphone on.
When you came to us with your budget, you came to us with a budget that was, I want, or I wish, or I hope, or this is the budget that I feel that we would like. Wait a minute, I see you shaking your head. We all look at something that, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that you lied to us, don't get me wrong, but you came to us with a budget that you felt that it would really be nice to have for the Board of Education. You know what's been happening in this town year after year after year with the budget process. And I've been in this town quite a long time, and I know what goes on, and I've fought for the Board of Education. You had to look, when you brought that initial budget in, what if we don't get it? What if it gets voted down? You don't just walk in with saying it's going to be okay and we don't have to take a second look at it ahead of time. You know what the timeline is for the budget process. Our hands are tied. You, being on the board, know our hands are tied according to the way we're set up on how many days can be used between the time we go from town meeting to the second town meeting to the third town meeting. So somewhere, someone had to be prepared with what if. We're not asking you to give us a figure off the top of your head, but somewhere along the line, your board of 9 people had to come up with something of what if. We're asking for the what ifs. That's what we're asking for, because we don't know what your what ifs are. You haven't told us since you've had your budget cut what if or what you did about it. You're still working on the original budget you came with the 5.9 and not looking at the what ifs. So when you're looking at us to solve your answers, we can't solve it if you can't guide us.
Okay, hang on for 1 second.
And I'm sorry, but this is exactly how I feel. Now I'm in a position to have to make a decision because the people at a town meeting said, no, we don't want you to give that budget to the Board of Education. So I'm supposed to make a decision on behalf of what the townspeople said at 2 meetings to make a decision for the people that you people should have been expecting. Maybe not as bad as it was, but at least some of it. You haven't come back with anything.
Okay,
I'm sorry for
hang on,
saying
we
this,
have,
but this is my own opinion.
okay. The chair calls on Board of Education member Kristen Harmeling to respond.
I'd actually like to ask permission on my chairman. Thank you. Thank you. It is the Board of Finance's job to put out the budget. As a Board of Education, we have never locked in or came back and said,
Yes, you have.
I've been on the Board of Education for 12 years.
And I've been coming to
please,
meetings
I have the
right
floor
along.
now. I have the floor now.
Ms. Harmeling's got the floor.
Go ahead.
Okay.
On the instances where we have come back, and they have been far fewer where the instances of us not putting out a change budget, we have been accused of trying to do things like rile up parents by announcing we're going to do pay to participation. And every time we try to say, this is our scenario, if this gets cut or that, or we get reduced by that much, it has come back to bite us. It has never worked in our favor because we are accused of crying wolf. We are accused, oh, if you're so ready to let it go, you never should have had it in there for the first place. And as a board, we philosophically decided this year, very much like we do in most, not every single years, but most years, to come forward with the budget that we felt was best for our kids. This was never about we wish, we want. ELL teacher, we don't wish we could have that. We need that. Social worker, our principals have been asking for that for over 5 years. There is nothing on here. Nice to have, $3,000 for a school climate coordinator, sure. Nice to have. How far is that going to get us into the $751.1 million? It's, so I don't know what, and how could we possibly scenario plan if we don't know if we're going to be cut by 50,000 or 790,000? There are so many versions of a budget that could be $100,000 lower, $1 million lower. How can we go there without being accused of being alarmist, which is exactly what has happened in years past? It is unprecedented to have had a $750,000 cut at a public meeting. And when I was here before this board at the town hearing, I said, why is the timeline so accelerated? So it's simply not true that every year we've had budget hearing 2 weeks, 2 weeks after town hearing, 2 weeks after vote. That has not always been the case. So I don't know where we were supposed to meet, go, cut without being accused of being alarmist and without revealing negotiation tactics. So all we can do is say we heard the town loudly and clearly. We heard them. We've heard them multiple times before in the task. But your duty is to make sure that this town has what it needs to run, whether that includes the town side of the government, whether it includes public safety, whether it includes the Board of Education. That's your duty as a Board of Finance, to make sure this town has what it needs. Your duty is not to say the budget lost by 400 votes, let's cut it by some factor of 400. That's not what the duty of the Board of Finance is. The duty of the Board of Finance is to make sure the town runs properly, and that includes our school system. So I just really felt I needed to correct some things. We did not come here with wishes. We did not scenario plan, because how do you scenario plan from anything from a $50,000 cut to a $1.1 million cut? We did not change our budget after it got cut by $750,000 because, number one, we were shell-shocked for a couple of days. Number two, because that would have left us exactly 1 week to meet before we went into spring break when schools are closed and people are not available to meet with us. So please don't say that this was on us, that we should have come back with some amazing proposals. Because if we could have come before this board feeling as good as we felt about our original budget, with a budget of 3.9, you bet we would have done that. But the numbers don't add up. The numbers don't work that way. So when we get our final number from you tonight and it goes back out to vote, you bet we're gonna put nose to the grind and figure this out, because that's what we always do. But if anyone thought we were going to come here tonight and say, here's how we're going to accommodate the $1.1 million cut, and we found another way for you guys to take off $100,000, if any of us did that, we got no business being on the Board of Ed.
Okay. So, and I'm going to recognize Board of Education member Kristen Bruno.
I just wanted to add to that. Schools were closed on Friday. I believe Town Hall was closed. It would have been a violation of FOI. We have to post our meetings if the 7 of us were to get together. It wasn't a convenience thing. It was a legal thing that we were not able to get together. We are talking about people's jobs. We are deep enough into our budget that we are talking about people's jobs. To do that responsibly, we really have to know the full scope, because we have to look at programming. We have to look at the whole picture of the cut to figure out how many people we are putting out of work in the coming year. That's serious. And I want you to be thinking about that as you make your decision, as you're charged to do tonight. How deep do you want to cut? Because it's just one more vote. It doesn't mean this is going to be the final number. So I really ask you to be conservative with the cuts tonight, because, and keep them minor, because the margin of rejection at both the town meeting and at the referendum was not huge. There were a small difference between the people that voted to cut or reject the budget and that voted to approve it. For people to lose their livelihood and to impact children, pay to play is going to impact our families that are struggling the most, because those kids won't have access to the extracurricular activities. Large class sizes are going to hurt our families that are struggling the most. So really be thoughtful in how you move forward tonight, knowing that there will be another vote and the margins have been so small. Thank you.
Go ahead. Kristen, we have a question.
Just a quick one. You said 7 members. How many Board of Ed members are there?
Oh, were there 9? Sorry, I was...
No, I just needed the clarification. Just writing it down. Okay.
Okay. All right. So, Lucy, I'm going to go back to you. because my original question was, do you have a suggestion for a cut?
I don't know the actual figure. I was hoping I would be able to come up with something tonight by getting some feedback from the Board of Ed. I mean, we've been working on these cuts and with no help at all
Okay.
from them.
Well,
I mean, you know, you can't just pick, I can't pick a figure out of the blue unless I know what the effect is going to be. I could say
Okay. So,
$1,000 or $100,000. I don't know what the effect is, and I haven't received any feedback on what the exact effect would be. Cutting 5 teachers, at what salary, what we need. We usually hear that all the sports are going to be cut. Something that gives us some kind of direction. I could come back with any amount I want. It's up to you people. Other departments have come back and definitely told us, this is what we need. We
Okay.
can do without this if we have to. It's going to hurt us, but we could go and do this.
okay,
And
so
we're taking it.
we're going to move on because we've already had this
Okay,
back and
I'm
forth,
sorry.
okay?
It's just, you know,
Let me
I
give you
can't.
one-
Mr.
if I may,
Champagne, you
I'll
have the
give you
floor.
one example. The bottom teacher on the seniority list, if we let him go, 2 programs are also going with it. Because he's the only man who teaches those 2 classes. So say bye to the construction program in the Seymour High School, which we took years to build, 2 years of that program. So a student can take that for 2 years, and then also the new the AutoCAD system, and that whole curriculum will probably die. So
Okay.
that's your
Okay.
choice.
Okay.
No,
All right, Jim, we're going to move on to you. Do you have a suggestion for a number to cut?
No.
Bev, do you have a suggestion?
All I know is that we cannot put it out without a cut, because it's gonna go down, and I don't wanna waste another $5,000 in putting this budget back out to the taxpayers. They have spoken to us and said that we have to cut it, so something has got to be cut, and I think it's gonna have to be like $100,000 or so, between 100 and 200,000. I don't know.
Okay. $100,000. We have a suggestion up here
Okay,
for a number. What would $100,000 do at this juncture with the Board of Ed? I
I don't
mean,
know.
Can I speak?
yes, go ahead.
You're absolutely going to devastate us. The bottom line is there's a reduction in force that would have to kick in, and the cuts in the areas. I mean, I'm begging to you people, don't cut us $100,000.
Okay, well, I mean,
25,000.
Is that the recommendation?
so,
Wait. She gave a number. Can we verify that's her recommendation?
what was the number that you heard?
25,000.
25,000. Okay, so somebody from the Board of Education recommended a $25,000 cut.
Fine.
All right.
it needs to go out to the voters.
It went out to the voters, and they voted it down.
We're working with the.
What am I
Oh,
gonna
shut
do?
I'll wait till I'm called on.
Yes, thank you.
61% of the voters voted it down. Yeah,
Think about the amount of people that voted.
but that's the normal all the time. On all
So-
our votes, it's the normal. Yeah. Well, they don't come out. They don't come out. What can I do? I can't force them.
She gave a whole history.
She read the history of it.
11,728 voters. The highest, again, 2018, 719, 764, 2021, 527, 2022, 1050,
I know.
Right.
It's all the same.
2025,
They don't come out to
1212.
vote.
Nobody comes out to vote.
So the ones that have come out to speak, spoke.
Betty Ann, what are your thoughts?
I have a thought, but I needed a clarification on our timeline for going back from today with a revised budget for a vote. to the town.
Our next budget vote is May 1st.
May
This
1st.
needs to be finalized tonight, so before we leave here, we will be voting on a recommendation to send to the referendum,
There you
because
go.
from what I understand,
May
ballots
1st.
need to get printed tomorrow.
Perfect. Thank you for that clarification, which helps me a lot. So we are not in control of anything here. Zip, nothing. The budget minus the $750,000 was how much? There went, let's reiterate that again.
That's the number that you're looking at. That's one that.
40 million,
40 million.
961,844.
So it is not up to us to pick and choose anything that comes off of this budget. We have to propose a number
Right,
to
right.
drop it.
If I
We're
could, through
just
the chair.
tasked to make a bottom line cut.
Correct.
That's no different than every other year that we have done this.
Right.
And that's the number we're trying to come up with right now.
Then I would
Yes.
propose a $25,000 cut.
If I could, through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
So, when Ms. Harmeling spoke, she's absolutely right when she says, never have we had to go back within the 2 weeks. It was only up to 2023 when we had the second, when the referendum started to fail, the past 3 years. Otherwise, we've never had to go back immediately after a vote. But it's normally within the 2 weeks, as it calls out in the charter for 2 weeks. So Kristen is right. We've never really had until the last 2 years that we've had to go back and come back with a number.
No, we do. That's not what she's saying at all. Okay. All right. Kristen, you have a suggestion?
I mean, my thoughts are to, I guess, start with the 25,000 if that's what the board's recommendation is, at least it's number from there, and kick that around.
Carol, your thoughts? Just turn on your microphone, please.
My original thoughts would have been 0. However, since they graciously made a suggestion of 25,000, I will agree with the 25,000.
Okay. Okay. Now, look. Jason, what was the total reduction of the town side of the budget? How much exactly did we cut tonight? It was over 200. It was 271. 271,000, and that was from the town side. Okay. I mean, my only concern with this, and I get it, because you already took a $750,000 hit. And then, of course, you add in whatever else, went your 6.9 down to our 5.9, okay, whatever the difference is, okay? So I totally get it, all right? My only concern with the 25,000, and I think that I would be very negligent in my duties if I don't at least address this, is that the 25,000 might not be enough to satisfy the voters when the town just made over $200,000 cut. That's my only concern with that, okay? But again, like we've been doing, it is going to be the majority of everybody up here on this board's decision how to proceed with this. So we have a suggestion of 100,000, and we have a suggestion of 25,000. Okay? So with that, I am going to ask for a consensus vote up here before we move forward, and we will start with Lucy. 25,000 or 100,000? Pick one.
I can't go with 25,000 because I'm sure it'll be voted down. I mean, the town was able to come up with 200,000, and they came in with just over a 1% above last year's budget, and they came in with another $200,000.
So you've got the two choices.
Okay, so you have 25,000 or 100,000, or you could split the difference and come up with something you feel comfortable with, and we will include that.
At least 75,000.
Okay.
Which would be
Okay.
less than the town, but
Okay, so
more
Lucy
than
suggests
25.
75,000. Jim, we've got 100,000, 75,000, or 25,000.
Least amount, 25,000.
Okay, so. Bev?
I will stick with the 100,000 because I really don't want to waste time putting this back out again.
Betty-Ann?
I think even with 100,000, they're gonna turn it down, but I'm gonna
Right.
go with the 25,000 reduction. I'm too scared if it goes down to 100,000 that they're gonna cut.
Kristen?
Gonna reject it.
I'm gonna go with the 25,000.
Carol?
25,000.
Okay. Well, four of us up here says 25,000. I'll go with the 25,000 mainly because that's what the majority up here states. Okay. All right. So, Jason, do your thing.
Okay, with a $25,000 additional reduction, Board of Ed, 41,340,139. That's 41,340,139. Total expenditures, $68,194,091. That's 68,194,091. Proposed mill rate 27.72.
Yes.
We also have to remember the Board of Ed has the NPR, and we cannot go below that. If we go below the NPR, the town's gonna have to pay a penalty fee of a 2 to 1.
Okay.
So you all need to keep, that in mind as well. I know everybody wants 0, 0, 0. But it's not, it cannot happen. We'll go into the negative if some of the towns are something. We have to remember that we have an obligation to the state. We have to meet that number. If we don't, we have to pay it.
Okay.
Question to the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
What is the MBR bottom line?
Sal, what is your MBR?
The MBR is not a significant number in the sense that it's really a function of two things. One, the increase in funding that we get annually with respect to the education cost sharing, which this year is a very small number. And then it's a function of what the state determines at the end of the year in terms of the final spending for schools. The problem with the MBR calculation at this point is, here's a hypothetical. You get to the end of the year and you are short, and you now require a supplemental appropriation that contributes also to your MBR. Any amount of money that you spend that may be in excess of what you originally thought you contributes to the MBR. Last year, the MBR was only roughly about 1% over the budget. But it also takes into consideration increases in student population when you open or close a school. So there are a number of variables. What I would say in answer to the question is, if you're trying to work towards an MDR number, you won't have schools.
I'm not trying to, I just asked a simple question.
No, but it's not a simple answer in the terms of the calculation.
Okay.
Okay. All right, so, Jason, I think we have all of our information from you. And that would put our revenues as well at 68,194,091, correct? Okay. Okay. So, and just to review, total town was 26,853,952, correct? Okay. All right, so with that, we got to formally send this out to the referendum as our recommendation. So the first thing is the total town side of the budget. I will entertain a motion to recommend $26,853,952 to be sent to the referendum.
So moved.
Motion by Betty Ann,
I'll second it.
second by Bev. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody pose? Anybody abstain? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, next matter of business. Total Board of Ed expenditures, $41,340,139. I will entertain a motion to move that forward to the referendum.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kristen. Second by Carol. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Anybody opposed?
Aye.
Okay. No to two oppositions. Anybody abstain? Chair votes aye. Motion carries. Okay. Now this will be to move the total Board of Ed and town expenditures to our recommendation to the referendum. And that would be $68,194,091. I'll entertain a motion. Motion by Jim,
I'll second. Betty Ann.
second by Betty Ann. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I'll abstain.
You're going to abstain? Okay. Note Bev and Lucy's abstention. Chair votes aye. Motion carries. And with that, that would be 68, recommendation of $68,194,091 in revenue. That's correct. I'll entertain a motion to send that to the referendum.
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Kristen,
Second.
second by Betty Ann. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody oppose the revenue?
Oh, no, the revenue is all right.
The revenue's all right?
Yeah.
So that you're an aye vote?
Huh?
You're aye?
Aye.
Okay. Any other? Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay, and that would bring us to a 27.72 mill rate. Is that correct, Jason? 27.72 will be the recommendation. I'll entertain a motion to send the 27.72 to the referendum for consideration by our
I
voters.
make a recommendation to send a 27.72 mill rate.
Okay, motion by Betty Ann,
I'll second it.
second by Jim. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, please note Bev and Lucy, or Bev's opposition, Lucy's abstention. Chair votes aye, motion carries. Okay. Let's see what happens. The next referendum is May 1st. That is correct? Just want to get that all out there. It's May 1st. Yes, please. Here, come on.
Do you have another public comment or no?
Yeah, we do. We're getting there.
May 1st, Thursday. I just want to make sure that everybody is clear that we need to have a budget in place by June 1st. If there's no budget in place by June 1st, tax bills will go out with the current mill rate at the new assessments until a budget is voted on and approved. And that includes even if the Board of Ed passes and the town fails, or the town passes and the Board of Ed fails. Both budgets have to pass for a mill rate to be set. Once the mill rate is set, if it's set after June 1st, then new bills will go in with accredited on there. That's all.
Okay. And with that, if it's going to go out at the current mill rate with the new assessments, let's hope we don't get there, because that's a lot of money. Okay. All right. Item number 6, second public comment. Second public comment. Yes.
I'll be quick.
You know the drill.
Kristen Harmling, 134 Davis Road. Just 3 quick thoughts. I'm asking for you guys to advocate for our town and for our school budgets, because we are all under one unifying body of the town of Seymour. If we keep cutting significantly every time the budget fails, that's why I had mentioned before, your duty, yes, is to listen to the taxpayer, of course, but your duty is also to balance that with making sure that our schools can run like they need to run and our town can run like it needs to run. The reality is, if the town went out with a 0% increase and the Board of Ed went out with a 0% increase, there's still gonna be a lot of people in this town that are paying more in their taxes, right? Because that's what the impact of the reval was. So we're never going to be able to please everyone. So again, even if we did 0% increase and 0% increase, some people are still gonna be paying more in property taxes, and those people are not gonna be happy. And that's just where we are as a town because of the reval. And that's all I want to say, is to say thank you to you guys. It's not easy, but we really do need you guys to be the ones that say, this is what you've got to work with Board and Ed, and we will do our best to try to figure out how we're going to manage with what we're looking at right now. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Question.
We're in public comment.
Oh.
Public comment. Yes. You know the drill as well.
I forgot my name since last time I was here.
I think we
Oh.
Bob Kosklowski, Pearl Street, Seymour. The only issue is I'm still very concerned about the reval. State statute is very clear. I don't know who in Hartford said that we had to do the reval this year, because Derby didn't have to do it. Derby just had their legislator go to Hartford, and they were exempt because of 2 reasons. Because the assessor couldn't get the grand list completed, and that was our issue too. So I'm very disappointed on that. Other issues that I want to appreciate, the first select person's, woman, first select lady there. I want to thank her for her reductions to the budget. But I also think there's about another $150,000 that could be reduced on the town side. But I want to thank you for your dedication and your time for this board. I know it's very hard. I know I sat on this board too. And it's probably the hardest board to sit on in the town of Seymour. So I want to thank you.
Thank you.
They said it'd be fun.
Yes, right. They said it would be fun. Public comment. Second public comment going twice. Second public comment going 3 times. Hearing no public comment, we're going to close public comment. And before we move on, I just want to kind of do something that we did the last time around, and that is offer Board of Finance member public comment. Lucy, any final comments?
Not really.
Okay, Jim, any final comments? Bev?
Just hope it goes through.
Okay, Betty Ann?
I pray it goes through. We have to decrease it if it does. I pray it goes through. If it decreases, we can't make the decision. We have to give an alternative decrease, so.
Right.
And
Are you good?
I'm good.
You're good, okay. Kristen, any comment?
I'm good.
Carol?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much for coming tonight. Now, this was not easy, and we'll see what happens. Either way, we have our regular meeting tomorrow night here at 7 o'clock. And just again, the next referendum will be May 1st, Community Center. The time is 8:47, and we will adjourn.
Good job.